Okay, so okay. I just happened to find Trump Jr.'s Rumble channel. I'm trying to find the full debate of Biden, and I'm probably not really looking in the right spot. I probably should be on YouTube. There's some really good nuggets here. I just I I don't know how long I'm going to be able to really focus on this. I just can't believe what a freaking disaster this dude is. I mean, I just can't. The guy is giving a press conference and goes and whispers into the mic. I mean, he's really weird. Um, Also, it comes out today that the Milwaukee radio interview was edited, and then when I went to find the unedited cut, I can't find it. I don't know. The whole world is going crazy, isn't it? All right, let us. I'm not. He's a little on the high strung. I mean, doesn't he work during the day, or does he just sit on Rumble all day? Sorry. I mean, isn't he doing property management or something, or isn't he involved in real estate? Yeah, I know. I shouldn't be criticizing. Now, Barron Trump looks exactly like Trump. I mean, it's like the spitting image. Now, compare Barron Trump to people like that freaking nut job out in Cali, that stupid Violet Aflac. Okay.
Your guys' handles are hard to read, man, when it's weird.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
It was a great success. So especially momentous because it represented the 75th year, the most important military defense and
Oh, my God. We're not in World War II anymore. He's giving a speech and then doing a presser. I really don't want to hear the NATO speech. I thought
alliance in the world's history of the world. An alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective defense.
Ukraine is not in NATO. There is no reason to expand NATO. The Russian Federation is a Christian, conservative, religious country. And everyone feels like they have to clarify that or qualify that by saying, well, Putin isn't bad. He's for the Russian people, and he's trying to help out Russian people in Ukraine that have already decided via a legal referendum that they want to side with Russia. Then you have a big coup that comes through. You have a bunch of manipulation coming from the State Department via Victoria Nuland and Blinken. And the next thing you know, we're in this huge war and he's spearheading it, but the whole country is supposed to be going, oh, yay. You know, what I used to pay perhaps $3 for now, I pay $10 for. I'm just trying to summarize. It's bad. And the mood on the street, it's depressing. Do you get that, Biden? It's depressing. The crime is unbelievable. Every day, all you have to do is type in the date, shooting Milwaukee. Boom. There was one at 8:45 a.m. today. You know. But let's we'll fast forward over this bullshit.
One, if Joe Biden reads end of quote or pause for applause. Wow, some of you.
The most important military defense and alliance in the world's history of the world. We should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II, the most destructive war in history. The idea was to create an alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective defense.
One, if Joe Biden reads end of quote or pause for applause. Two, if he gets through it.
As an attack on all. And it's worked because a would-be aggressor knows the attack
is Is he sped up on something?
Attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place.
Okay.
I'm a coward.
I'm not concerned about the U.S. getting hit by another country, and I'm not concerned about Europe right now. Well, wait. The fight is between, they want to divide Russia up. They want regime change. They want to take it over again like they did in the Bolshevik Revolution right before World War I became a thing. And we were pulled into that. We were pulled into WW2. We're pulled into all these damn wars over there. They really don't affect us here. I don't care. Really, you can disagree with me all you want, but I want you to really sit down and think about it. Are you concerned Putin is going to come here tomorrow, or Xi Jinping, and start clubbing down your door? Now, on the other hand, I'd say within 10 to 25 years, you're going to have the same shit that's going on in Gaza happening here. And it'll be under the guise of some group that they created. They being the government, they being the CIA. I'm sorry. Yeah, tune out now if you want.
Appeasement.
Have pre-rigged questions and maybe the teleprompter so they can.
All the questions.
During the week of this summit.
All the questions have been done. They've been pre-written, and he's reading off a list of who to call. It's not really even a press conference. It's just like, here are questions. Here are the people you call on. Here's what the question will be. They've already got the question, and here's your answer, and here are your notes.
Summit.
Joe Biden and
that's exactly what we did, and exactly what we'll.
Oh my God, where's the
report on them?
Other key issues.
Something.
Tariff and everything.
When does this start, actually?
Consequence, working with Mexico, border encounters have gone down over 50%.
That's not even true.
He's lying.
Details. It's immediate. With that, I'll take your questions.
Pedo Joe doing better job at reading his speech than I thought he would. Yeah.
He's got a list to call on, and everything is scripted. This is such bullshit.
It's true. All right, these have to be pre-rigged questions because he just called. You know, it's hard to see people in the in the stands there, and actually call them out by name. So there's no way that's not something that's already in the prompter.
Come on, well, can we hear it?
George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately,
look at Juicy.
What concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president. I think she's not qualified to be president.
First question. I mean, when I saw this, I was just like, you've got to be kidding.
These developments into your decision to stay, and separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president. I think she's not qualified to be president. We'll start there. Number one.
Yeah, we will start there. Can you fucking believe this idiot? He's just... Now they're even more worried, I guess. So
the fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president.
You know what? I could think of like 10 YouTubers or people that do live streams on Rumble that are more qualified to run for president. This guy is so deep in so many different pockets of so many different countries illegally. And then he turns around to try to cover it up or detract attention from it. he'll turn around and say, well, Trump had a hush money case against this slut that now claims that she never got her period again or something after. Does anyone believe that? I mean, she's really, I'm going to be honest with you, she's not attractive. She's kind of an ugly old broad, and I would just go to the shadows if I were her. But she's probably getting paid a lot of money to come out and do all this trash talking and just make shit up. She's just making shit up now. He didn't know any money was going to her. It was listed on an accounting, or his attorney had him sign off on charges for legal expenses. Well, he's just like signing off on his budget. And of course there are legal expenses if you're running a business in New York City, a real estate business, a real estate management service. And then the guy embezzles the money for himself. Oh my God. And he did something wrong. Meanwhile, you have Tara Reid hiding out in Russia because she has been told if she comes back here, A, she's going to be arrested. B, from what I gathered from about a year and a half ago, she's just going to be killed. Sort of like Seth Rich. Breitbart. Anyone that gets in this guy's way, if you think this man cares about anyone but himself, he doesn't even know what the fuck is going on, let alone have empathy for the average person in the US. He doesn't even realize how bad it is out there. He doesn't have any clue. His son, Hunter, a fucking crack and drug addict that has a bunch of illegitimate children floating around that probably aren't getting any child support, I'm assuming, unless there's hush money involved. This guy that got kicked out of the Navy, he enters the Navy at age 43 to take a desk job, to do something provided by his dad, the vice president, and he gets kicked out of the Navy because he tests positive for cocaine. The guy is a fucking loser. And you know what? He's actually with Biden right now, advising him on what to do. And they are both really mean, nasty, unattractive looking men. Just their mannerisms, their bone structure, the way they speak, the way they look. God knows this guy's been in some shit since fucking Nixon got sworn in for his second term. This guy goes into the Senate. You think this guy, oh, holy fucking shit. Okay, I'm sorry.
I beat him once, and I will beat him again.
Well, see, now when he says that, what that says to me is, okay, we've got all of the shit in place to take it again. And he does. He comes to Wisconsin, boom, all of a sudden the Supreme Court turns around. Probably a call or something like that from the FBI or something like that. Sort of like, we're going to fucking kill you and your wife and your kid if you don't do this. And we mean it. Okay, got it. Yeah. Do I really think like something like that happened? Yes, I do. All right.
Him again. Secondly, the idea.
He's reading notes. Look at where he's looking down.
Time.
Yeah, everything's
The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not. I beat him once, and I will beat him again.
Yeah, you know how to do it.
Secondly, the idea.
He's reading notes. Look at where he's looking down.
Time. The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have. Now, it's not unusual.
Watch this.
And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now.
What? Look at his teeth. He doesn't have his right spacers in. He didn't put his partial in. You can see all of his fangs. Wow, what a creepy old fuck.
Joe Tato.
Watch this.
Later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving. And because, look, I got more work to do.
Keep moving and do more with NATO and not die. I mean, so what he's doing is he's shoring up funding for the nation that he is taking huge kickbacks from, right? Which no one ever brings up. Plus, Mark Dice finally brought up the issue that he has had 2 brain surgeries.
To do. We've got more work to finish. There's so much. We made so much progress. Think about it. Think about
Guys,
where we
in
are.
the
Progress. I've never seen things so dismal, and I'm not just saying that because I'm voting for Trump if I go to the polls at all. Sorry. Do I sound like a loser when I say that? Probably. But the districts that I'm in and shit like that, and the state, that we have an electoral college. It's not a popular vote. He's got it lined up. He goes to Madison probably he'll be here another few times just to make sure everything's in place with Governor Evers. And that's all he needs to do. That's all he needed to do in 2020. They had this one prepared for 2020. They had that one prepared. They weren't going to let 2016 happen again. And they knew that they weren't going to get people jazzed up by this old fucking coot. So they just got their people out that didn't come out because they were pissed off because the state of Wisconsin, when they had their primary, who they want to be president, they voted for Bernie Sanders in a huge number. Hillary lost significantly. And people were so everywhere you looked, there was a Bernie sign. Everywhere. I don't see anything right now for this old fuck. And I live near college. But this neighborhood is very apolitical, and I will tell you why, because it is on the brink, on the edge of super high crime neighborhood. Okay? And that's why. Because you never know who might be coming down your street to do whatever. Because it's a very busy street. It's a very busy 4 blocks up is an extremely busy intersection. There are several bars in the area. A few blocks up. Those people are pretty mellow. Well, it's hard for me to describe just over the video here. But let's continue on with this old fuck.
In the chat, hit 1 if you
world.
think he stays.
Name me a world leader.
Of course he
who
will.
Trade places with our economy. Class people still need help. Corporate greed is still at large.
Oh, so the reason why we're having trouble is because of corporate greed.
Their prices, the corporate profits have doubled.
He's got to be reading partially off a prompter. He's got to be, because these are predetermined questions with predetermined people. He's got to be.
Since the pandemic, they're coming down,
God.
and so I'm optimistic about where
4
things are
years
going.
ago?
Danny Kemp, AFP.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you about you mixed up Presidents Zelensky and Putin earlier today.
He said, President Putin. I saw it. It was just embarrassing. It's like this guy is he just doesn't belong there. I mean, in all honesty, he honestly does belong in a nursing home and or memory care and he probably does have a full-time nurse. I don't know how they keep this one under wraps.
And you now have sort of your key allies, including the British Prime Minister, the President of France, the German Chancellor having to step in.
Well, the Prime Minister in Great Britain just got there. He could change his tune based on the mood of the public. I'm assuming and or the king.
make excuses for
Lot
you
of
on
ones.
that. And officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference?
Huh?
Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, here, I mean,
How could you make such a big fucking mistake, you weirdo?
have you seen a more successful conference?
And here he becomes that real angry, nasty dementia patient. I tell you, I have a close relative that's going through this right now, and I can't be around that person while I'm recovering from this accident, which probably will take another year or two, unfortunately, but it was bad. So I've got to give myself that time and kind of let myself heal, which I'm not allowing to do because it's not my personality. But I can't be around people like that or have this. This is a personality type that the dementia, the agitation. You know, it's like you don't. This is not someone you want to be around. Now, can you imagine how he is, like around his staff? And just like I said, I did a video where he is. The staff is scared shitless to be around this guy because he's a nasty old fuck.
What do you think? And the Putin
Who speaks to someone during a press conference? What do you think? What a fucking weirdo.
piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now,
Look at his
at the
chin.
very end,
Look at his chin.
I said, here, I mean, Putin,
Look at this. It's this half is hanging down here and this half is hanging down here. What a strange-o. And now he gets confused again.
have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, here, I mean, Putin, I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky.
No, you didn't do that.
And then
No, you said it well after he was walking on stage. It wasn't right away. It was like 20 seconds later. So you're lying again. It wasn't, you didn't correct yourself right away.
And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys,
You had to what?
at the end, I said, here, I mean, Putin, I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky. And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea anybody
I have
suggests.
to find other names. What? I have to find other names? What if what the
No, I'm sorry, Zelensky. And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys,
Oh, you know what he's being prepped for? His cognitive deficiencies. You know, I wouldn't doubt if this guy's like undergoing hypnosis, like he's undergoing techniques to remember shit. Then I had to find other names. What is wrong with this guy? He is just a head case. No, I mean, he's not there. He left. He might sort of be there, but just a little bit.
the idea anybody suggests that
Oh, there you go.
we haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you hear in that conference? I don't know.
I'm sorry, did someone question the conference? No, they were questioning your ability right now. I don't remember hearing a specific thing. You're surrounded around a bunch of sycophants that you're giving a shitload of money to, and or they're benefiting somehow from you, Biden, because that's the only way you can stay in power. This whole Ukraine thing is bullshit. It needs to be over immediately. There's no reason for the U.S. to be involved in this. And then this SOB comes in again, who's not even part of NATO, and they give him more money and clap for him and put him on stage when there are people that actually have died for their country and other people that are suffering right now and homeless, living in a fucking sleeping bag on a damn park bench so that you can give Zelensky more money and that somehow helps the U.S. You're out of your mind, you old man with a weird looking chin, which, by the way, this might sound gross, but there is one podcaster, I don't listen to him often, that describes this as a scrotal sack, okay?
I know it sounds too self-serving, but
Yeah, it is so.
other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden.
Was that even the question? Was this about NATO? We don't need this. This is not something our country requires at this time. This is something Obama's people got into, and you've got Blinken there, and you've got these people there that want to perpetuate this indefinitely, and it'll eventually bring down the U.S. Period. He's out of his mind.
Because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is a...
Wait a
Well-
minute. What was the question? The question wasn't about the NATO conference, and he already lost his train of thought.
The idea anybody suggests that
Here he goes. There he goes. He's
we
gone.
haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you
that.
hear in that conference, I know it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden. Because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is a...
Look.
Well, anyway,
Here
I
we
thought
go,
it was
folks.
There he goes. He's done. Second question. Fucked up.
a successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me a world leader who didn't think it was.
What?
Next
that
one.
wasn't the question. Wait a minute. That wasn't the question, though, was it? All right. So we are at 145. That wasn't the question, though, was it?
I'm running for office.
The question was.
Let's start there.
People in the in the stands there.
Oh, he was talking about how he introduced Zelensky as Putin because he's fucking gone. Okay, now let's go back to 142. Okay.
Working class people still need help. Corporate greed. Think about
Guys,
where we
in
are
the chat,
economically
hit potato.
later in the campaign.
Oh my God.
Secondly, the other is that I think I'm the
Wait.
Incorporating these developments into your decision to stay, and separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were?
ticket is not unusual.
I can't remember.
One,
the rest of the
if you
world.
think he stays.
Name me a world leader who wouldn't. It's a pandemic. They're coming.
The German Chancellor having to step in and make excuses for you
Lot of
on that. And officials here are saying off the record
Okay,
that your
I see.
decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America?
We haven't had an incredibly successful conference. Next one. Nancy Cordes, CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President.
That ought to be an attack question.
You mentioned other instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge, but what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race.
And you've got the one conservative one, if you want to call him that, sitting there, and he's not part of it. These people all have their notes ahead of them. You see this? They're all just texting away, and then,
In the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years.
What has he
Have you
done?
spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race, despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval Office?
Well, look,
Joe's own DOJ says he's unfit to stand trial
I'm
for
in
his
this for my
crimes.
legacy.
Just so we're clear.
I'm in this to complete the job I started. As
Sorry,
you
I'm
recall,
looking down because I'm live tweeting
understandably,
too.
many of you and many economists thought my initial initiatives that I put forward can't do that. It's going to cause inflation. Things are going to skyrocket. The debt's going to go up.
I like
What are you
VP
hearing
Trump.
now?
I mean,
From mainstream economists. 16 economic Nobel laureates said I've done a hell of a job. That under my plans so far and what's going to happen in the future if I'm reelected, that things are going to get much better. Our economy is growing. I was determined when I got elected
Oh my God.
to stop.
No, it isn't, Joe. What is he getting? How are they manipulating this data? Good God. I have never seen things so bad and so down ever. And let me tell you something. This shit started around 2014, where it started. You could really notice it. And then you had this uptick for 4 years, and now you have now, which is like the worst ever.
Stop the trickle-down economic theory.
When do the drugs wear off, guys?
We did very well.
How long does
Everybody
this
else is
go,
doing
and when do the drugs wear off? He's 10
well.
minutes
He's a
in.
well-read, decent
Does he
guy.
call it early?
I don't remember much trickling
How
down.
how long do you think he goes for?
Middle-class people.
He wants Don
and
Jr. for
working-class
VP.
people
Maybe
need
that's what he
help.
meant.
And so what happened is I decided to was able to implement as president what
This is what Obama did. It didn't really work. That's why there was the term "Make America Great Again." Oh my God. This is just so exhausting for so many decades now for me. Oh,
I believed when I was a senator. And that is that the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up.
it doesn't even make logical economic sense unless you're going back to Keynesian economics, which is a form of fascism, really. And okay, well, yeah, we get that. We know we're in a fascistic state.
That way we grow the economy. And the wealthy still do very well. They do fine. And guess what?
What is he
Farming
talking
economy
about? We do
Main Street-
fine. We're not exactly starving to death in our apartments yet, but that'll be in your next term, right? Look at his eyes. He is wasted. Look at this. Should we get a screenshot of this? I think so. Okay. I'm sorry, but he is wasted. Holy shit. Okay, just bring it down a little bit, maybe. Boy, is that dude wasted. Okay, there we go.
Mainstream economists have said we haven't done well. What have we not done that isn't working right now? And so we got more to do, though. We got to finish the job. And by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world. Delaware has more corporations registered in Delaware
That's because there are tax breaks that you want to eliminate. But okay,
than every other state in the nation
that's
combined.
right.
I'm not anti-corporate.
Dear God in heaven, help me. Why is that? Because they don't pay corporate taxes. They're a stupid fucker.
But corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. Doubled. It's time things get back in order.
And that's the reason why people go to Delaware to incorporate. What a dumb fuck. He acts like as if I can't.
A little bit. It's time, for example, if I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase of corporate
They were like 0 and 2, but that's cool.
rents for apartments and the like.
Look at him. His pupils are almost 100% dilated. He is completely fried. He's probably snoring and shitting his pants right now and peeing into a catheter bag.
Homes are limited to 5%.
So, but
We're
like
gonna make
all
a lot of
promises,
changes
why didn't
that
he
I've
do
been
that
talking
already?
about.
He's been there for 3.5.
Okay, thank you, Donald Trump Jr., but could you do something different with your hair and shave this shit off? Because I'd like you a hell of a lot more. Plus, you look more attractive.
Years.
Economy.
Why didn't he do it already? Another
I know.
lie.
Remember how I got so
Buying
roundly
votes.
criticized for
Ew.
being so pro-union.
When did Brill Cream come back into style? Ew. He's losing his hair and he's I don't know what I don't. Okay.
Not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history.
He's starting to
Not
go.
a joke. And guess what? We had the Treasury Department do a study. When unions do better, everybody does.
Oh my God.
Everybody. criticized for being so pro-union, not labor,
Watch,
union,
here's where he's-
union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke. But guess what?
You are a joke, honey.
We had the Treasury Department do a study. When unions do better, everybody does better. Everybody does better.
Oh my God. I'm fucking up on me. $200 a month for this shit? Okay, let's just. Okay. All right.
And we talk about how, for example, when I went, remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States?
What?
Used to be 40% of
used
the
to
industry.
talk
We
about
invented
that.
the chip. 40% of the industry is in the United States. And former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world, send the product over there, and import what the product was. And so what did I do?
What?
I was told not to go over to Europe, to Asia, including Europe, but Asia. I remember going to South Korea, convincing them to invest $20 billion in the United States to build computer.
May I ask do you guys even remember the question? It's almost like you have to write it down. He just goes off into this. He's only had like 3 or 4 questions, and it's like blah, blah, blah. And there's his lackey wearing, he's just, okay.
Computer chip factories. And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world, you have the best workers in the world. So the whole idea here is we've invested, there's over $50 billion in investment in computer chip manufacturing just coming in the bean. None of you thought that would happen.
Oh my God.
None of you thought that would happen. But it's happening.
Oh.
It's happening. That's going
Look
to
at him.
grow
Oh,
economies.
he's picking his nose.
All through, and by the way,
I
red
think he's-
states.
It wasn't a pick, it was an itch, right? Or whatever. That Seinfeld episode.
Clinging,
Blue states.
folks.
Matter of fact, there's as much in red states as blue states.
Hey, if you're
I
still
made
watching
no
this, make
mistake.
sure you're liking,
So
sharing,
my generic
subscribing.
point is
Now he's
that
just
the
mumbling, but
idea that we can't continue to build and grow the economy, make it fairer. And like I said, from my standpoint, when the middle class does
okay,
well,
guys, if the economy is so good,
that's when they
type
hold-
one if you were better off under Trump, or 2 if you're better off now.
wealthy guys start
I'm going to be honest with you. The guy looks like he's ready to fall asleep, and it is putting me to sleep, and I don't even know what the fuck he's saying. I don't even remember the question. He should have given a short answer, and boom, moved on. Sharp, quick, smart. You're not sitting around with your grandchildren opining on how great you are, which is basically like what he's doing right now. I am the greatest man in the whole world. Don't you see it? Nobel laureates have told me I was the greatest man in the world, and you say I'm not, and you've got a problem. I mean, this is weird shit.
I can't imagine anyone actually typing 2,
Vice
but
President
give me a
Kamala
1
Harris
if you were better off on Trump, or 2, because
Can you elaborate on
you're
that?
supposed to
What
lie
is
to
it
yourself?
about
I don't get it.
attributes and her accomplishments over the last 4 years,
Yeah.
ready to serve on day 1 if necessary.
Not even the trolls are typing
First
2.
of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies.
What?
4 years that make her
Yeah.
ready to serve on day 1 if necessary.
Not even the
about
trolls are
here.
typing
First
2.
of all, the way
So-
she's handled
The way Kamala Harris has handled killing babies in the womb.
the issue of freedom of women's bodies to
So-
have control over their bodies.
She's pro-abortion, so therefore she is qualified to be president. Okay. I mean, this is bizarre. It's like he's Secretary of State or something. He's not even talking about domestic issues at all. I mean, he is, but it's like grow the middle, and it's grow the middle. How do you grow the middle if the top is getting smaller? You need a large corporate force to hire the middle. Oh my God, he is so weird. I can't. And our upper middle class is just gone. Yeah. I don't know. Or changed drastically. Okay.
Over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board.
A lot of ones
This
here.
was a hell
Holy
of a
crap, I
prosecutor.
can't even keep up with the feed. It's
She
all
was
one.
a first-rate person, and in the Senate, she was really good. I wouldn't have
See,
picked her unless
those are
I
my
thought she
first
was
two that I
qualified to be
noticed.
president. From the very beginning.
LOL.
I made no bones about that. She is qualified to be president. That's why I picked her. Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Thank you, Mr. President. Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years?
The new American woman. Ugh.
Given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today.
The limits I've acknowledged I have.
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true.
Oh! Yes, it is true. It's all over the place. Your aides have spilled it. It's fucking weird.
And it's 24/7.
From the very beginning.
LOL.
Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Thank you, Mr. President. Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
The limits I've acknowledged I have.
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true.
He needs nap time.
Look, what I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting a fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking.
But in New York City and out in LA and shit, you know, especially in New York, people go out later. So he just starts fundraisers an hour early. I want you to think about that. He's thinking only in terms of, well, I just want to start my fundraisers a little early, and that way I get to go to bed.
Talking about. And if you looked at my schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign in the
He's
debate.
going anywhere.
Okay. At this point, I call bullshit, and this is the couple that Anita. Oh, is she? She looks like HHS Secretary of the Tranny. All right, so I'm going to bed, desperate for a nap. Yeah. So this is gone now. Few but notable mistakes. Are you kidding me? The whole thing has been weird. Right here, I guess. So he has physical therapy at 8. That's old. Well, we could do Breitbart. It's just not. Well, we'll do Gateway. It's just not my favorite site. So he's only functional. This is June 29th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. According to a report by Axios published Saturday in the wake of Biden's disastrous not ready for primetime debate. Okay, this has been all over. According to a transcript, Biden could not remember. Oh, whatever. Okay. The past 36 hours showcased two Joe Bidens, the veteran president. Not really. Okay, let's keep going. I can't. Okay, so then we get the toenail fungus ad. Okay, Biden's miscues and limitations are more familiar inside the White House. The time of day as to which the two Bidens will appear. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Biden is dependably engaged, and many of his public events in front of the cameras are held in those hours. Outside of that time range, while traveling abroad, Biden is more likely to have verbal miscues and become fatigued. Well, I mean, it's just, okay. Oops, I'm sorry. All right. So that's not really what I'm looking for, but all right. So Biden takes a nap every day. So this shit's been cleaned up pretty quick. Biden took naps during each day. Does Biden have a afternoon nap every day? Watch. Sleepy takes a nap. He needs more sleep. This is all over the place. Nap time. Okay. Hopefully we're almost finished. This is exhausting. Well, I mean, it just sucks because it's so bad. It's of no, like, it's like you're not, it's like you want it. Okay. He's a great sleeping pill. Now I wasn't tired before I started this. Now I want you to look at this. He's got two chins. He's got like a huge hematoma coming in on the left side, and then just sort of a normal chin on the right because he has a failure chin implant. It's breaking up and he can't go off the campaign trail because he might look even more weird, have bruising or scarring. He never had a chin like that. What is wrong with this man? He is the most strange thing ever. And no, it's not a body double. It's just an old, demented version that needs to go to a rest home.
It's amazing.
My schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball?
Well, since right now he's not president or not an elected official, he can do that and shouldn't be criticized for doing that because he can do that. He's not actively working right now, but he just rallies where he's getting upwards 20,000 people or more in New Jersey, and you get like 100.
I mean, look.
Hey, listen.
He's done virtually nothing.
This is so insulting.
I'm going to bring back up the golf match.
How many? Don't hold me to it. Roughly 20 major events. Someone with thousands of people showing up.
You have not done a major event with thousands of people showing up. That is a lie.
And so I just think it's better.
Thousands of people? You mean like a dozen?
I always have an inclination, whether I was playing sports or doing politics, just to keep going, not stop. I just got to just pace myself.
Yeah, you've been going for 50 years. It's time. You're gone.
A little more. Pace myself. And the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones a week before. Anyway, that's what it was about. That's what it was about.
15 time zones?
And by the way, even with that, I love my staff. But they add things all the time. At the very end. I'm catching hell from my wife.
What? You're catching hell from your wife because your staff adds things?
Anyway.
What does that mean?
15 time zones a week before.
15. Look at him. He's got this crooked smile. He doesn't have his partials in, and he's got this bizarre looking chin. I can't. Please, enough.
Anyway, that's what it was about. That's what it was about. And by the way, even with that, I love my staff, but they add things.
What?
Add things all the time. At the very end.
If you're doing a debate and you're the president, your staff shouldn't be telling you what to say, when to say it. Unless everything's prepared in advance, which I sense it was, and you still couldn't fucking handle it. This guy's just so bad.
Yeah. I'm catching hell from my wife
For what?
for that. Anyway.
You suck? What does that mean?
Let him stay.
I'm sorry, Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
Thank you, Mr. President. Two questions for you. First, on the NATO summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted. Are you reconsidering your position
There are no more people left to die in Ukraine.
on that? And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there, leaders of your own party have said that they're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American people that you are up to the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
First thing about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike
Oh, for sure that he's got everything scripted right now, or he would not have been able to keep that question straight.
deep into Russia.
What?
We've allowed about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia.
What?
We've allowed Zelensky to use American weapons in the near term, in the near or abroad,
This should not be happening. This should not be happening.
into Russia. Whether or not he should be attacked. For example, should Zelensky, he's not. But if he had the capacity to strike Moscow, strike the Kremlin, would that make sense? It wouldn't. The question is, what's the best use of the weaponry he has and the weaponry we're getting to him? I've gotten a more
This is basically, a Secretary of State, Department of Defense question and answer time with no facts about crime, no facts about human suffering, no facts about homelessness, no facts about veterans issues, no facts, period. Like all they're talking about is the U.S. fighting an illegal war with the help of the Republican Party, who is highly compromised.
I got a more long-range capacity as well as defensive capacity. And so our military is where I'm following the advice of my commander, making a day-to-day basis on what they should and shouldn't go, how far they should go.
Or bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or it's a matter of foreign policy.
Wait, what was that? You forgot it.
And we're making a day-to-day basis on what they should and shouldn't go, how far they should go in. That's a logical thing to do. Second question related to...
No, it's not. He forgot.
Bad
You
nights,
knew
sir.
it.
How can you...
I knew he wouldn't be able to remember the question. He doesn't have the mental capability. I've worked with patients like this. He doesn't have the capability.
Basis on what they should and shouldn't go, how far they should go in. That's a logical thing to do.
Wow, he is fried.
Second question related to...
Bad nights, sir. How can you reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or it's a matter of foreign policy?
Well, I tell you what, the best way to assure them is the way I assure myself. And that is, am I getting the job done? Am I getting the job done? Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major piece of legislation passed?
What is he huh?
In 3.5 years?
Like what?
I created 2,000 jobs just last week.
No, he didn't.
He So if I
What is that, like 20 jobs per state or something? Come on.
slow down, I can't get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that yet. None. What we got here? Merrick,
Can't even- Huh?
Pulaski Radio.
What?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Merrick,
I am dying.
Pulaski Radio.
What?
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm well.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron.
Let me just take a quick breather. Macron has nothing to do with the U.S. and what's going on in it with its 360,000 million, people. And I'm just adding in for illegals that are coming in constantly. I mean, which has been about 40,000 in the last 3.5 years. So if you go from 335, let's put another 30 in there, say, 360,000 people. But that's okay because Macron likes him. Because why?
Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the president.
Something weird, really, something bad. If someone says they're happy Biden is president, that means something really negative happened to the American people.
President of the United States. But there is a concern. Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election. And
Worried because their lives might get better? Who is this? This is the new Poland here?
Yeah,
there's
if the
a lot
former
of
president
concern
wins the
that,
election, will actually stop these wars, not
Yeah,
continue them.
really. I mean, I've had people answer me to posts on X or replies on X, and they're like, "Hey, what you do affects us, and not just from one country, from many." And a lot of times, you know the way I am. Well, maybe not. I'm just like, well, deal with your own shit. And then you hear a question from some stupid globalist piece of crap like this.
You them in
Trump
perpetuity.
may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push
Russia is not going to invade Poland. That is like a myth. It's like bringing up old Soviet policy. It's not World War II. It's not like 1940. It's close to 2030. We're about 90 years since that shit happened. Can we move on?
push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And yourself was warning
Okay.
just 2 minutes ago about it. So my question is,
Oh my God.
do you think that
Okay.
Europe will be left on its own if Donald
Okay, so this isn't a press conference. This is a NATO conference. And if this guy has a question for Trump, he should find Trump and ask him directly, because Trump would probably answer it or figure out a way to have a quick conversation with you to answer your fucking question. So what the fuck are you asking this old demented fuck what Trump would think or do? Well, all I can say is this: fuck you, get the fuck out of my country ASAP. I don't want you here. You're not my friend. You don't belong here. Fuck off. Go back to Poland.
Donald Trump wins the election? And what's your advice to European leaders?
I can't even believe this is a question at a press conference for the United States of America.
To prepare
This is all about Europe. I mean, it should have been a little bit more like framed that way. It, to me, in everything I heard, it was framed in the fashion that this was a press conference for the U.S. American citizens to hear their president answer questions about what's going on in America. Instead, all I'm hearing about is Europe and how all these people like Biden, well, yeah, he probably wined them, he dined them. They had a nice visit. Everything's cool. They got tons of money for all kinds of little shit that they needed money for. They gave Biden money. They exchanged niceties. And, and Trump was very true and right when in 2015, 2016, he said, why is the U.S. still in NATO? Why are we still funding this? It's not our country. It's not our continent. What the fuck? Oh, and P.S., it's not 1940.
For possible U.S. disengagement.
Well, look,
It should be.
I think, how can I say this without sounding too self-serving?
Second time he said that. This guy is such a narcissist, I can barely cope with it.
I'm not having any of my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't run. What I hear them say is,
Oh
you've
my
got to
God.
win
Okay.
Europe. That worries me. What I can say is, when right after we got elected, I said, you're looking.
I think if he wants to stay, he can stay in. It's going to be hard for these guys just to throw him out on that.
Could he come and say it? Wasn't automatic.
Well, I think he probably knows.
He said,
It's going to be harder for them just to say, pushing us into war. Oh, 100%.
And the same thing was
Yes. And
agreed to
Collins.
the expanding of Europe and Asia, and
Not the knuckle.
South
cracking
Korea,
thing.
the United
I just don't like
States.
that guy.
We're making the world safer and stronger because,
Okay.
and I respectfully suggest,
Seriously, you're making the world safer and stronger. Okay. Here we go. July 11th, 1241, Milwaukee shooting near 94th and Capitol, 1 injured. That's nice. I used to have an apartment 2 blocks from there. Actually, my first apartment was 92nd and Capitol, 2 buildings off of Capitol, for 5 years. And I went to grade school on 92nd, which is 2 blocks away. And I was baptized there, and I spent my life there. And that's right, just blocks from the suburbs too. So I don't know what is going on. So it's not really even a bad neighborhood per se, but apparently it's become one. Maybe not. One person was injured in a shooting in Milwaukee on Thursday morning, July 11th. According to Milwaukee Police Department, about 8 a.m., you can't even go to work. A 47-year-old was shot in the area of 94th and Capitol. That's all it is. Any updates? Ooh, Thursday, 1 dead, 3 injured. Different shootings on the morning of July 11th. 50 Milwaukee stabbing, domestic violence, domestic dispute, victim taken to hospital. This is why I can't even go to the damn hospital. Because everyone else like this is taken before someone like me. Wow. Car set on fire. 4 days after busting out her car window, teens are caught on camera setting a Milwaukee woman's. This is all today. But don't worry, Joe Biden is making our country safer. He's deluded.
4 days after busting out her car window, teens are caught on camera setting a
Looks like a
Milwaukee
truck.
woman's car on fire. And tonight she's sharing her story with Fox 6's Durante Matthews, joining us live on the Lower East Side. And I know you've had a very interesting day, Durante.
Let me stop. Okay. Wow, I used to live here. Okay.
And I will get to that shortly, truly. But the video for this particular instance.
Holy shit. I've had my car slammed out, my windows slammed out there. Okay. See, Joe, you're forgetting.
It speaks for itself. You know, from vandalism to arson, the woman tells me that it's just been one thing after another, but she says she's at least happy.
Cass and what? What is the cross street here?
That those who torched her car are now in custody.
It's terrifying. I feel so
Oh
violated.
my God. Wait a minute. Where the fuck is this? Is this at the park or at another apartment complex? Never mind.
It's a fear fanned by the flames of this fire.
I can't understand how someone could be so evil.
We're choosing to hide this Milwaukee woman's identity after a week of car chaos. Last week, she and others on the Lower East Side woke up to their windows busted.
Ugh.
On Monday,
It's such a horrible feeling when you see that.
she woke up to this.
Can't even describe to sit there and watch the car go up in flames.
She says she woke up around 3 to the news that her car alarm was going off and that the car itself was engulfed in flames.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Okay, so that's closer. I know where it is.
of the heat, the windows of my car busted out.
Not knowing what to think or how it happened, she says she went to her Ring video.
And that's when I saw the two individuals walk up, you know, have no care in the world, light the trash bags on fire.
And threw it into her driver's seat. She says police caught the two 14-year-olds after they went back to watch the flames rise.
So they stood and they watched their destruction as if they were so proud about it.
She says police told her at least one of them was a person of interest in a recent homicide.
The lack of regard that they had for anybody's safety, you know, is one of the hardest things for me to process. I'm just glad that they're finally not roaming our neighborhood anymore.
A neighborhood that she says has since rallied around her family.
It definitely makes me feel humanity isn't all bad.
And as we mentioned just a short while ago, Ben, that today has truly been a crazy chain of events. While we were out putting this story together today, 2 other cars had its windows completely smashed out. Now, we got a chance to speak to one of the owners and her message to those responsible.
I would say, hey, stop. Please don't do this no more, because you got to understand people work hard to get where they at, to be where they are. It's not okay just to go through people's things and just break anything and thinking it's cool. There are wrongs and there are rights.
And so far, there is no word on the status of those involved in today's smash and grab. Reporting live in Milwaukee, Durante Matthews.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Because, you know, he says it's okay, and I believe him because he's the man.
New arrangement that exists in the world. The Cold War is over. The post-war era is
Commander
over.
in sleep.
What is going to replace it?
Oh my
Commander
God.
in chief.
And I respect.
What is going to replace the Cold War? Nothing. How about peace? He's going back to the 80s. What is going to replace it? Can't it be peace? Oh my God, this guy's, I'm sick.
I respectfully suggest I have a pretty good idea what that should be.
Was issued yesterday. It was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine.
Okay.
That if you were
number one for with Trump.
And China's.
I don't know. It's interesting.
This is just foreign policy bullshit. What about, this is not even a press conference. He gave them questions. He's going off of some sort of script. And, you know, his wife is going to give him hell if he does bad.
There was a while there, international rules related to that got a billion people in the market, not a billion, but a lot of people in the market. Information you have. There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration, and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to rules related to both China. For example, we talked about how both the EU
He's looking at scripted notes.
as well as NATO weapons.
He's just
They
going
went
to sort of
China
ready to go deal with Putin and
his behavior. And people together with
Okay.
What
take someone who served in
changed?
Congress for 50 years.
And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign.
I think he's doing okay enough to stay.
Sam from
The press, I think their mission was to try to get him out with this, but I don't think they're going to.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions.
Old
Earlier,
Silver
you
says that
spoke
dumbass
about the
isn't ready to talk to
ceasefire
anyone. You
plan
can't
between
even string
Israel
a
and
effing
Hamas.
sentence.
We're now looking at 10 months of war, and I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war. And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote,
Trump Jr., would you shut the fuck up or not cover this?
bridge candidacy.
I think he's on a phone. What a weenie. I'm going to be on a phone and I'm going to talk like a girl and I'm going to have my hair greased back with my beard. I'm not, yeah.
A transition
I apologize.
to a younger generation of leaders.
You know what's really weird is Steve Doocy is in almost every shot and he's not going to be called on. And he knows it, yet he's still sitting there.
I want to understand what
take someone who served in Congress for 50 years to transition
Let's
to
go
a
back
generation.
Getting more aid for us to exceed and with BJ.
Okay.
Anyway, it's going to change.
What?
And most any president since Johnson and maybe before that.
Oh my
to
God.
Get a major piece of legislation passed. And what I realized was the situation I inherited in terms.
Okay. I think we'll come back to this because I honestly can't tolerate it. Also, Trump's team, Carrie Lake, no. Richard Grenell, Posobiec, this one, they're all like Gen X, like big time wannabes. And they're just not my cup of tea. All right. So we might come back to it. It's just way too boring for me.